Hello, the nice people at RunCam sent me a Swift Mini FPV camera to take a look at, and this was in the same package that my RunCam 3 HD camera was in, so it arrived about a month and a week later than it should have, so I'm a little bit late with this one. And as far as I can tell, it is functionally the same as a Swift, but it's just been placed into a smaller case enclosure. That's why it's called the Mini. But when I opened it up and took a look at it, this is a ordinary Swift here. I have to admit, the first thing that struck me when I took a look at it was it's not really that small. So if I put it next to the ordinary Swift, you can see it's probably a good 80, maybe even more than 80% of the normal size of the Swift in those two dimensions. And front to back, it's almost the same. It's probably, if not, I think it's a tiny little bit smaller, maybe about 0.5 millimeter shorter in that dimension. But that can differ a little bit just by how much this barrel of the lens has had to be screwed in and out, you know, the focus adjustment. So, yeah, I think the idea is that you would use this on something that is a little bit smaller than a 250 size mini quad. That seems to be the point of this. But it's not going to fit on my 160 size mini quad, which I thought I might be able to resurrect and use this on, but it's a little bit too big for that. So given that it's not really functionally much different than this one, didn't really seem to be a whole lot of point in doing a really, you know, drawn out review. But since I do have this testbed thing set up and ready to go, and the plugs for plugging things in are the same size and everything's exactly the same on these two, just the labels in a different place, but everything is the same. I thought I would just slap it on here and fly it around for a bit on my mini quad and set these to both default settings, just on the off chance that there was something a bit different. But I didn't really see any huge differences. If anything, I think the picture on the Swift Mini is a tiny little bit more contrasty, and perhaps a tiny little bit more the edge detection sort of thing. A lot of people don't like that. It sort of makes it look a bit shimmery, but the edges of tree branches and stuff are a tiny little bit sharper, but it's so small a difference that it's really quite hard to tell. And I watched my video and I paused. I'll play the video in a minute, but you can pause and try and find a difference, and it's just really hard to notice much of a difference. So I think perhaps what they may have done is everything is the same except the default settings are a little bit different. So they've just bumped up the default contrast by one blip, or whatever you call the little pips on the graph. So yeah, I'll play that in a minute, but let's just have a look at what we have in here. So the sizes of this are, let's have a look at this, because this actually lists it all up. So it's $35, which I think is the same price as a regular Swift anyway. And then the sizes are given down there. So it's 22, just over 22 millimeters square in those two dimensions. And then front to back's 28 or 27, sorry. Like that. All right. Yeah, so the stuff that you get in the bag with it is just the normal bits and pieces. You have a cable for controlling the OSD, then you have one of these cables that just brings the OSD connection out somewhere just in case it's stuffed. The back of the camera is hard to get to in your quad arrangement. And then just the sort of one of these which has the same plug on each end. That's the ground video and voltage. Not sure what you'd use that one for, to be honest. Maybe, are there video transmitters that accept a plug like that? I haven't seen any. And then there's some screws and a little Allen key. Now over here we have one of these aluminium brackets which is made to fit just on here like that. So if you wanted to put this on your quad, go around like this, how would it go? Oh well, you'd figure it out at some point somehow. And that is for if you just want to use this by itself. I mean, on a new build, I suppose you could use this one. But for me, if I'm going to use this at some point, I would want to use this bracket. This is plastic, so it's a little bit springy, bendable, and the point of this seems to be that you can slot this piece once you've mounted the camera in. You can slot this into any of your existing fittings that would have taken a normal Swift camera. So this is going to be really useful for me because I have 3 mini quad frames that were made to take these little nipply bits on the side of the normal RunCam Swift case. That's about 28, pretty sure that's 28 millimeters across there. It's yeah, it's the same size as that, whatever it is, 28 millimeters I think. So this little plastic case here is going to be really handy for me to put it onto my existing 250 mini quads. I don't really have any quads that are running that are smaller than 250 at the moment, so this is going to be just great. And yeah, I don't think there's too much more to say about it. Oh, the lens is a 2.5 millimeter focal length, so I think you can actually get different focal lengths of the Swift when you purchase it anyway. So you may be able to get one that's 2.5 of this anyway, so it's probably not a huge difference in that respect. I found it quite nice. I've only used this as an FPV camera on my radio control car. I did a little bit of driving around with this, and the field of view is quite good. I think on a quad it would be just fine as well. But I have not actually used this to look through while I'm flying on the quad yet. I just recorded on my DVR thing. So I think I'll just play you the video. It's probably 3 or 4 minutes long, and I'll just let the whole thing run, and I'll finish my commentary here. And yeah, like I say, it's just a Swift in a smaller case, but it's not really that small, unfortunately. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. See ya.